There's a term psychologists use that almost nobody outside academia knows. It's called the arrival fallacy. It describes a very specific kind of emptiness. The kind you feel after getting exactly what you wanted. The promotion lands. The car arrives. The apartment is finally yours. And for maybe 3 days, sometimes 3 hours, it feels incredible. Then it just becomes normal. And you're already scanning the horizon for the next thing. This isn't weakness. This isn't ingratitude. This is your brain operating exactly as designed. Because your brain was never built to let you stay satisfied. It was built to keep you searching. The problem is we live in a culture that hands that biological glitch a credit card and says, go wild. So we do. And we wonder why we feel hollow. In 2003, researchers Thomas Gilovich and Leif Van Boven published a study that quietly changed how behavioral economists think about happiness. They asked a simple question. Do people get more lasting satisfaction from buying things or buying experiences? The answer was overwhelming. Experiences won. Every time. Across income levels. Across age groups. Across cultures. But here's the part of the study that doesn't get quoted enough. They asked people to imagine a future purchase, something material versus something experiential. Before buying, people expected the object to make them happier. They were wrong. Consistently. Which means the problem isn't just that we chase the wrong things. The problem is we're confident we're chasing the right things, right up until the moment we get them. And then the ceiling drops. Meet a man named Ray. In his late 30s, Ray had what most people would call a perfect life on paper. Corner office. New construction home. 2 cars. Annual vacations to places you'd recognize from magazine covers. He told a therapist he felt like he was watching his own life through a window. Present, but not inside it. His therapist asked him one question. When did you last do something that scared you a little? Ray thought for a long time. He couldn't answer. Not because nothing scary had ever happened to him, but because he had spent 15 years systematically removing every source of discomfort from his life. He had optimized himself straight out of being a person. This is what extreme comfort actually produces. Not peace. Not fullness. A kind of beautiful, climate-controlled numbness. So if things don't fill us, what does? The research points to 4 consistent sources of what psychologists call eudaimonic well-being, the deep kind, not the surface kind. Number 1, challenge. Not misery. Not suffering for its own sake. But genuine difficulty that requires something real from you. Studies show that people report their highest moments of engagement, what researcher Mihai Csikszentmihalyi called flow, not during rest, but during tasks that push them right to the edge of their current ability. Number 2, novelty. Your brain has a dedicated reward response to genuinely new experiences. Not new products. New situations. New people. New landscapes. New problems you've never had to solve before. Number 3, connection built through shared experience. Not connection in theory, not followers, not contacts, but the specific bond that forms when 2 people go through something together. Hardship, adventure, vulnerability. Number 4, a sense of growth. The feeling that you are not the same person you were a year ago. That the world has changed you in some direction that matters. None of these 4 things can be purchased outright. All 4 of them require you to show up. Here's the part most people skip past. We don't pursue experiences over things because experiences are inconvenient. Things are safe. A new watch doesn't require vulnerability. It doesn't ask anything of you. It doesn't risk disappointment the way a conversation, a journey, or a relationship can. Experiences require you to be present, to be affected, to potentially fail, get lost, feel awkward, or arrive somewhere and find it wasn't what you imagined. And somewhere along the way, most of us decided that risk wasn't worth it. So we substituted. We bought the symbol of the life instead of living it. The hiking gear that stays in the garage. The cookbook that decorates the shelf. The travel mug for the commute that never became an adventure. We surround ourselves with objects that point at the life we meant to live. And we call that being successful. Bronnie Ware spent years as a palliative care nurse in Australia. She sat with hundreds of people in the final weeks of their lives and recorded what they said they regretted. She published her findings in a book that went quietly viral among people who were paying attention. The number 1 regret was not about money, not about career. It was this. I wish I had let myself be happier. Not more successful, not more comfortable. Happier. As in, I wish I had chosen the experience over the safety. The conversation over the efficiency. The unknown road over the familiar one. The second most common. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Not one person in her study said. I wish I had bought more things. Not one. And yet, we keep buying. Because the alternative feels risky. Because living deliberately is harder than living by default. This is not an argument for selling everything you own and moving to a forest. Comfort matters. Security matters. Stability matters, especially if you have people depending on you. But there is a meaningful difference between enough and accumulation for its own sake. And most of us cross that line without noticing. Here's a practical question worth sitting with. In the last 12 months, what did you do that changed you in some small way? That left a mark. That gave you a story. That introduced you to a version of yourself you hadn't met yet. If the answer comes quickly, you're already living this. If you're scrolling through memories of purchases, upgrades, and comfortable routines, that's information. Not judgment. Information. Because the good news is that the shift doesn't require a dramatic gesture. It requires a decision. Made once, then made again tomorrow. Call the friend you've been meaning to call and actually go somewhere. Say yes to the thing you keep postponing. Take the longer route. Eat at the place you've never tried. Start the thing that scares you just enough to feel real. Small pivots. Consistent direction. That's how a life gets lived instead of managed. Ray, the man watching his life through a window, eventually took his therapist's advice. He didn't quit his job. He didn't sell his house. He signed up for a solo hiking trip he was entirely unprepared for. 3 days. No phone signal. Just him and terrain that didn't care about his career. He got lost on day 2. It rained. His feet blistered. And he told people afterward it was one of the best experiences of his life. Not because it was comfortable, because he was in it. Fully. Without a screen between himself and the world. He came back and started saying yes differently. That's not a fairy tale ending. That's just a man who remembered what it felt like to be a person instead of a portfolio. You already know, somewhere underneath everything, what kind of life actually calls to you. The question is whether you're going to keep buying things that point at it, or start walking toward it. The door is open. The first step is cheaper than you think. What's one experience you've been postponing? Drop it in the comments. Let it become real by saying it out loud. And if this hits something true for you, share it with someone still standing in front of the window.